So again, welcome to MailChimp tips and tricks. Last week we covered how to set up a template, how to schedule a campaign, and how to send that out. So if that's what kind of information you're looking for, you'll want to look at one of our past recordings. I think Michelle's going to put in the chat for you. Today what we're going to focus on is the reports that MailChimp creates for you. So I'm going to kind of go through that step by step, and we're going to talk about the different parts of the reports, what you can learn from that, how you can use them. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about integrating MailChimp with Facebook and Twitter. And then we'll talk about multi-user accounts, which will make a little bit more sense when we get there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move over to MailChimp, hopefully successfully. Let me know if you're not seeing my MailChimp, because that is what you should be seeing now. So where we're going to start is we're going to go from the main desktop. This is where you would sign into. And we're going to go to the campaign page. And I'm actually going to pull up a specific campaign just because it has good statistics on it. And you see I clicked that View Report button. Sorry, I did that a little bit fast. That's this View Report button to the right. Of course, this is only going to work for those campaigns that have been sent. So if you have test campaigns that you haven't sent out yet, it's not going to give you any sort of statistic for that or any sort of report. So once you see the View Report, go ahead and click on that. And this is the main report screen. So you'll notice that there's two different names for this email. So up here it's called MailChimp Workshop with a question mark. And down here it says MailChimp Workshop Survey. That's just because I typed it in differently. When I first said create email, they ask you for a name. And then when you're designing your email, they ask you for a subject line. So if those don't match, that's when you would have two different titles here. Usually I make them match so they're easier for me to find. And then both of those say the same thing. Right underneath the title of the newsletter update, you'll see this link, Switch Report. And this just lets you pick a different report to go look at without having to go back to your campaign screen before choosing which one you want. Scrolling down the overview, you'll see it had 55 recipients. This is just the number of people that were on the contact list that I sent it out to. It tells me what list I sent it out to. If you send it to a segment or group, or if you use tags, it should indicate here which group or tag you sent it out to. The delivered is just the day that the email went out. And then these links here are often not what people expect them to be. So View Email is going to let you view your email in the browser. Okay, so you're still in MailChimp, but this is what it would look like if somebody were to view your email in the browser. Download, print, and share are not what people often think they are. It's not going to download, print, or share your newsletter. It's going to download, print, and share your report. So if you have a PD coach or a launching coordinator or somebody who would, for some reason, want to see a report of your MailChimp, that's a way that you can share that with them. I've not had an occasion where that's been helpful for me, but those features are there. We're going to kind of go past these three here because we're not doing e-commerce, so they're not relevant to us. The next is the open rate and the click rate. Open rate, typically you're going to see anywhere between 40 and 60%. So if you're between 40 and 60%, don't be discouraged by that number. That's actually pretty high, and you're doing well. One of the things that we want to talk about as we start looking at open rates is that the open rate isn't perfect. It's not a perfect measure of who is and isn't opening your newsletter. Why that is because the way MailChimp tracks opens is that they embed one pixel, so a tiny unseeable picture, into each of your emails. When somebody downloads the pictures from your email, which most email clients will do that automatically, then it counts it as open. However, if somebody's using something like Outlook, for example, or they have their email settings so that pictures do not automatically download, you might have a case where somebody has actually read your newsletter, but MailChimp didn't know they opened it because those images weren't downloaded. Okay, so this so probably more people are reading it than what you think they are. But the way that you can use this is just start a conversation with your partners. So if you have really good partners that it seems like they're not opening opening your updates every time is that you could reach out to them and just let them know, hey, we've started sending out our updates in a new way, and we want to make sure that you're receiving them in the way that's best for you. And so it just gives them an opportunity to either come back and say, oh yeah, we read them every week. And then you'll know that they're just not appearing on your report. Or it gives them an opportunity to come back and say, maybe they've been busy, or no, we haven't been receiving them. Okay, so it's a non-threatening way to start that conversation. Of course, you never want to say, I saw on MailChimp that you haven't been opening our newsletters. We don't want you to say anything like that. Don't come across confrontational. Just use it as an opportunity to explore what might be going on. Okay. The click rate is going to refer to any links that you have in your newsletter. So if you have email links, Facebook, social share buttons, if you put a PDF copy of your newsletter in as a button, all of those will count as links. And so anytime somebody clicks on that, it will increase your click rate. Okay. Next, we have these 4 numbers. And you're going to notice some discrepancy here. So this says that the email was opened 44 times. This says it was opened 85 times. The difference in these 2 numbers is that the 44 is 44 unique individuals have opened the email, but these 44 people have opened it 85 times. So some of them opened it 4 times, some of it opened it 3 times, and then accumulate it to 85. The same thing with the clicks. So we had 6 unique individuals click the button, but 1 person did it twice. So this one says 7. Okay. The percentages are just giving you another way to think about that. Last opened is just when the last person opened your email. That's the date and time that happened. Same thing with clicks. With the bounces, there's 2 different kinds of bounces. There's a soft bounce and there's a hard bounce. A hard bounce means that there's some sort of permanent error with the email that you try to send. So there's a variety of reasons that can happen. So MailChimp tried to send out your update and the email address was wrong, or the person's email inbox is full, or the server's down for some reason. For any of those reasons, you'd get a hard bounce. But what MailChimp is deciding is that, I'm describing soft bounces too. I already mixed them up. The hard bounce is a permanent error. So the hard bounce is, we try to send out your email, we're never going to be able to have success in trying to send out your email. And so we're going to scrub this email from your account. And what they do is they make a cleaned list so that you have a list of all the people that they've removed due to a hard bounce. Hopefully that was clear. I know I messed that up a little bit. The soft bounce are some of the other ones that I was describing. So a soft bounce would be the server's temporarily down, or the person's inbox is too full, or something along those lines where the error is not permanent. And so they're going to continue trying for 3 days to send an email that is soft bounced. If they don't succeed in those 3 days, they quit trying and they move it to a hard bounce. If that happens 7 times, okay, so if that happens with 7 different emails, at that point, they'll clean that email off your address or out of your contact list. So it would have to be over the course of several months. If that person is continuing to soft bounce, they're eventually going to recognize it as a permanent error instead of a temporary error. If you go look at your clean list, a lot of people want to delete those or to remove them. You can't delete or remove them. They're just sort of stuck there. And the reason for that is that MailChimp doesn't want you to accidentally or intentionally, for whatever reason, try to put those email addresses back in your list. If it was a mistake, if something went wrong, which doesn't typically happen with bounces, but if it does happen, there is a way to resubscribe people. So, and I can show you that in a little while. So there is ways to get around it if it happens by mistake. But it's not like a trash can. You can't delete them. They're stuck there forever. Okay. The last is unsubscribed, and so in all of your updates and newsletters, in the footer there's an unsubscribe link. So if people want to no longer receive them, they have the freedom to unsubscribe themselves. There's not much else to say about that. You should get email notification if that happens, but that's a place to keep track of that. And that's what those numbers represent. Abuse reports is going to refer to anybody who has unsubscribed themselves and also said that this email should be counted as spam, or I never requested this email. They're going to count that as abuse. If this number starts going up, you're in danger of losing your account. That's why we don't want you to send out newsletters to people who didn't ask for it, because if they start reporting you, your MailChimp could be deactivated. Okay. 24-hour performance. So this doesn't refer to the past 24 hours. This is going to refer to the first 24 hours you send it out. So if I sent this out at noon, it's showing me the first 24 hours from the second that it went out. Okay, so that's what this little chart is referring to. You'll notice there's two lines. So the light blue is opens and the dark is clicks. And you can see, move your mouse across it. I'll give you a little bit more statistics. Top links clicked. So if you have more than one link, you'll see the list of them here, and you'll be able to see who clicked on which links. And then subscribers with the most opens. I don't always find this to really be a helpful statistic. I've had this number be 17 and 18 at times. Generally, I don't believe that people are reading my email 17 or 18 times, but there are email clients that auto download those images. So every time that person clicks past my email, if it downloads the images, they're going to read it as another open. Okay. So while the open rate is helping you to some degree, it's only giving you a limited amount of information. Okay. I actually meant to show you a little bit more up here. You can actually click on these numbers here. Okay, you see the opened and the clicked are blue. If I click on that number, it's actually going to take me to the list of the people who opened my email. So I'll be able to scroll down and see who and who didn't. Well, this is just who did. If you want to see who didn't, you would go to didn't open, and it would give you a similar list. Okay, same thing with clicked. If I go to clicked, it's going to show me who clicked on what link. Well, not what link, but who clicked on a link in the email. That will be true with the bounces too. So if this number goes up or the unsubscribed goes up, you'll be able to click on that and see who unsubscribed or whose email bounced. This has happened to me a couple of times. Usually it's because somebody changed their email address. So for example, I had a church they changed the name of the church. So everybody at the church changed their email address. Well, then all of a sudden those emails started bouncing because their email address didn't work anymore, and I had to change them. I've rarely had soft bounces. I think I've had a soft bounce one time, and that person did eventually get cleaned off my list. So I don't know if it was an email maybe they weren't using anymore, but those things do happen.
So Jen, we have a question.
Sure.
Will it notify me of a bounce, or do I have to check the report with each campaign?
I think you have to check the report with each campaign. I don't think they send you an email of any kind that will
Not
tell
for
you
bounces, I don't believe they do.
Yeah, it's just for unsubscribes that they send the email out. So scrolling down, social performance. This is if you link up your newsletters or your updates with Twitter and Facebook. I talked a little bit about this before, but one of the things that you want to consider is that if you copy the URL of your newsletter and post it into Facebook, or same thing with Twitter, copy a picture or URL of your newsletter and put it in Twitter, and somebody likes them, those likes are not going to show up here. What these numbers are referring to is and I'll talk about this next week, is there's actually little Facebook, like a little thumbs up Facebook like button that you can place inside your newsletter. Same thing with Twitter, is you can have a retweet button in your newsletter itself. If somebody uses one of those buttons, that's when these numbers start to go up. Okay, so don't be frustrated if people are liking it on Facebook, but it doesn't show up here. You actually have to be clicking that little like button. The campaign URL clicks is referring to this link here, where it says view this email in your browser. If people click on that, that number should increase. And then top locations by opens. I mean, this is really just a fun thing, right? I don't know that this is super significant to what we're doing, but it's fun to look at if you have people in a bunch of different countries. Okay, so that's this overview page of the reports. So let us know if you have any questions about the reports, but that's basically what they are. There's also this links button here, and this will just show you real quick which links have been clicked on, and then you can also use the click map. And again, it's just kind of a fun tool. I think people who are marketing probably utilize this information a lot more than we will. But it'll show you where on your page links are getting clicked. You'll notice the one in the middle of the page has lots and the little ones don't. This is one of the things that we encourage people about. If you're going to put buttons into your newsletters or updates, if you don't talk about them. So this button was talked about and it's centered in the middle of the newsletter, and that's why people are reading this email, is to click on this button. So it has lots of engagement. But these down here are going to be in just about every communication I send out. And I don't talk about them, I don't mention them, and I would hazard a guess that most people don't see them. It's very, 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 very rare that I have anybody click on those buttons. So again, don't be discouraged, because a lot of people are skimming our newsletters, right? And they're not checking out all the little things that we've included. So don't be too discouraged if you have those kind of buttons and they don't get that much interaction. Social, I've yet to find this page very helpful. The Facebook activity is going to be, again, if you add that little like button, again, that we'll talk about next week. Same thing with the campaign URL. You see the 3 clicks. And then I've never had referrers before. Usually my referrers have this broken egg as well. So this is the first time I've ever had referrers on my link. That's kind of fun. Okay. All right, so that's all there is with reports. Next thing that we're going to talk about is integrations. And so it's talking about integrating Facebook and Twitter into your account. They changed Facebook, the way it works with Facebook, but we'll go ahead and talk about both of them. So to get to the integrations, we want to go to the profile menu in the top right-hand corner, and then go down to, well, first I'm going to switch accounts, but you're not going to do this. Okay, so you want to go to account, and then from here you want to go to integrations. Okay, there's several options across here, and then we want integrations. You'll see there's several different options of things that you can integrate in. SurveyMonkey, Zoho. We're not going to talk about all of them. We're just going to talk about these top 2. So the first is Facebook. You just click on it, say login, or click login. Now mine green-lighted it right away, so it connected with it right away. If you're not signed into your Facebook, you might have to sign into Facebook first. But most people, I think, will sign into Facebook and don't ever sign out. So if that's what you've done, it should happen just like it did for me. You'll see that it's asking what page to use. So Facebook, because of some of the security changes they've made over the past year or so, they do not allow you to auto-post any MailChimp content directly to your profile page. You can only directly post content to a Facebook page that you set up. So what I mean is, so this is not my profile page. This is a quote-unquote Facebook page that I've set up. A lot of people do it for ministries or businesses. It's not their personal feed. It's more of their business feed. Okay, so if you create a page like this, you can end up with a tab over here on the left. And then once you connect them and create your page or your sign-up form, it would go into here. Okay, so this is a place where you would, if I said connect, it would connect my newsletters to here, and there may be a tab that said email sign up or view my updates here. And that's how that would kind of work. Okay, so if you don't have a page, you're not going to be able to auto-post. I'll show you how you can post here in a minute, but this is not my profile, and you cannot post directly to your profile from MailChimp. Let me know if that remains unclear. I'm going to keep talking about that.
Jen, can you clarify with the Facebook page, can you set privacy settings or anything like that? Or is it automatically public?
You can talk about that if you want.
I was just asking. I'm pretty sure it's fully public, correct?
I don't know. I don't use them.
Privacy on it, like you can with a personal group.
I don't use them, so I'm not entirely sure what the settings are. Page visibility, it's unpublished. I don't know. It looks like here's some different settings that you can probably set. I mean, I don't personally use Facebook pages, so I'm not sure what all the different features are that go along with that.
Yeah, so if you have sensitivity concerns, this might not be an option for you, is kind of the point.
I don't know too many people who use Facebook pages, but this is what we have for MailChimp. So list to use. So you have to create, so if you have more than one page, you pick which page you would want it to post to. List to use, so it's relevant which list you're going to connect it to. And then if you want the sign up tab, so the tab is the little thing that I was showing you here on the right. These are tabs. And then you give your tab a label. Okay. So I don't know how many people are going to be doing this, but this is how you do it. Not synced up. And then just click save. So it's saved. You can test your connection. So here's the info we grabbed from your profile. The same thing you can do with Twitter. So if you want to connect it to Twitter, okay, you just pick this and click connect. Again, if you're signed into Twitter, it'll connect you up without too much problem. It does ask you to give you some permissions. So you have to be okay to give those permissions in order to connect it to Twitter. You can auto post to Twitter, so it does work a little bit more nicely with Facebook than it does work a little bit more nicely with MailChimp than Facebook does. And I'll show you, we're going to go over and actually talk about that. So as far as actually posting to Facebook and MailChimp, Facebook and Twitter, we're going to scroll down further. So this is what we talked about last week. We talked about editing the contact list, who it's from, subject, content. Okay. If you keep going down, you'll see there's some more options down here. So you can add a social post to your campaign. If we click this, now again, this is only going to work if you have a page. So if you have a page, you can select that page and then add pictures. And so you're going to, adding images is just going to the final file management system on your computer again and letting you pick an image to insert there. Even if you set up the social cards have nothing to do with Facebook. So Facebook is not going to use the social cards. If you want an image to appear, you have to pick one from your file manager. Twitter, however, will let you do either or. Okay, so if I had connected to Twitter, it would give me the same information. It wouldn't have a connected page, right? It would give me this same information. And so I could either add the images and tell it which ones I want to use, or I can set up this social card and it'll use the social card instead. Okay, so you have both of those options. One thing is you don't want to change this information right here. The asterisk straight up and down line URL. Don't go to your newsletter, copy it, and then paste it here. It's not what it's asking you to do. It's a merge tag, kind of like we talked about in footers last week. We said all these merge tags, you don't want to type anything. We don't want you to delete them. Don't change them. The same thing with this one. If you remove the merge tag, it's not going to link to your newsletter anymore. It's just going to post a picture with title. Okay, so make sure you don't mess with that if you decide to go this route. That's how these work with Facebook and Twitter. And then the other thing that we were going to talk about was multi-user accounts. And so multi-user accounts are used for a variety of reasons. I've had a lot of people add me as a user to their accounts. So what it does is it gives somebody else access to your account without them having your password. So if I wanted Michelle to be able to get into my newsletters to edit something, I could add her as a user, and now she doesn't need my sign-in information. She can use her own account to access my information, my newsletters, and my updates. Okay, so some people like to do this with their PD coaches or whoever's checking their newsletter. I've had several members share it with me so that I could get on and troubleshoot something. So just a way married couples might want to use it. So there's definitely a few different uses. But it's interesting, so we're going to show you how to set that up. To do that, you go to the upper right-hand corner where your name is, and we're going to go down to account. Okay. And then you're going to scroll down to settings and users. Okay. So account, settings, users. And you'll see this account has 3 users. So I put myself on here twice just so that you could see some of the different things that are going on. So this is me. So I'm an admin. So you'll see that there's 3 different titles here: admin, author, and owner. There's actually one other, I think called manager. But these are some of the main ones. So owner, as an owner, you can do anything to the account. You can delete the account. You make it a build account, if you want to start doing e-marketing, this person can do anything they want. Admin is very nearly the same as an owner. So the admin has pretty much all of the same rights and access to the account as the owner does, except I can't revoke the access of the owner, whereas the owner could revoke the access of the admin. And either of us could revoke the access of the author. So the author, the only thing the author can do is edit and make changes to the different newsletters. So it would restrict access to lists and templates and things like that. So to invite a user, you just use the invite a user button and type in their email address. Okay, so if you add another email address, and then pick the level of access you want that person to have. Okay, you can type in a message and then send invite. And you'll see it's a pending invitation. So if the person doesn't get the email or they lost the email, they accidentally deleted the email, it's very easy to resend it. Okay. And then once they've accepted, they'll show up here under the role that you've designated them to have. Once they have access, they're now able to edit all of your updates. Okay. So if I go over to a campaign and click edit, okay. So you'll see one of the first things you see is that there's a couple of new sections to this screen than there were last week. One of those is this to editing in the top left-hand corner. Okay, so we have 3 people who have access to this MailChimp newsletter, but there are only 2 of us who are currently signed in. So if somebody else signs into your newsletter, you're able to see easily who's there making edits. The second new section is this comment section. So before we had content and design, now we also have comments. And this will show up for a couple of different reasons. If you send a newsletter and somebody makes a comment directly to, if you send a test email and somebody sends a comment to your test email, it's going to show up here as well. So there's a couple of reasons that this ends up being used. But you'll see that I started a thread here. And so if I click add a comment, it'll add another new thread. Okay. And then you could add more comments in here. So you could do something like, you could have different threads for different reasons, right? You could have one for images, one for stories. So if you're having some sort of conversation or interaction about your newsletter, this is kind of the place that you can do it. You'll see that this one has a number 2 next to it, and it means that there's 2 messages that haven't been interacted or read yet. Okay, so this is one that I put here. It's one that Michelle did. And then you can do different things with it. You can mark it completed. You can delete it. Notifications are important if you're going to actually use this as a way to communicate with the other person and you want them to be notified when a comment has been sent. And you'll want to check these and click save. That way when you make a comment, these people will be emailed and updated, kind of like a Google Doc, right? If you want somebody to get an email, you click at in their name, and then you make the comment, and you get an email saying you made the comment. It's kind of the same thing here, except you check names. And you see Michelle made a new comment here. So it has the blue dot and the little 1. The next thing that we want to talk about is that both people can make live edits to this screen. So I don't have to refresh my screen. I don't have to log out, log back in. I don't have to click save. But all the changes are going to be instantaneous. And so I don't know if you saw, there's a new picture right there, right? I'm not touching my computer or interacting with my screen at all. It's Michelle changing the picture. Okay, but I don't have to travel anywhere. I don't have to go off browser. I don't have to, again, I don't have to refresh my screen. And we can just see the changes as she's making them. So one thing to be aware of is who's going to be working on what, right? So if Michelle's working on pictures up here, I'm working on my footer down here, we're not going to get in each other's way. Okay? But what Michelle and I did the first time we did this is we were kind of talking as we were making some changes. Michelle had said something about changing the color of a button. Well, I was down here, finished this, went up to change the color of the button, it was already changed. It took me a second to realize that it's because she changed it for us. So you want to make sure you communicate who's doing what so you don't frustrate each other with this. Okay, so it would be an easy way to not have a happy interaction if you guys were undoing each other's work or anything like that. And so this is actually one of our shorter webinars, right? So we went over reports and we went over multi-user accounts and integrations. We used to talk about a couple of other things here, but we've moved that over to the intro and campaign emails because it was important enough that we wanted to make sure it was out there quickly. So what we want to do instead of giving you more new content is open it up to you. So if you have any questions or are wondering about anything, it can be about something that we talked about today, it can be about anything else. Janet, I see that you're raising your hand. If you could type your comment or question into the chat box, Michelle will make sure that I get that.
And we do have one in waiting.
Okay.
I have a question already. Could you please go over the posting to Facebook from MailChimp when you don't have a Facebook page?
Yeah, sorry, I meant to do that. Thank you for saying something. So to do that, actually skipped a couple of things. Let me answer that first, and then I have something else to share as well. So to post this to Facebook, you'd want to grab this link, this URL. So you want to view your email in browser. And you can do that, right? So if we go over here, this would have to be sent. Let me search real quick. Okay, so if I went down to one of my emails and I said view report, okay, then there's this view email. So I don't yet have a URL, but I can now see the view this email in your browser. If I click that, I now have a URL up here that I can use. Okay, so if I hit Control Copy and then hop over to Facebook and go to, you can either go to your own feed or you can go to just the regular Facebook page, wherever you want to make a comment, and then paste it in here. Okay, so what you're going to notice is they don't give you a nice picture. It doesn't use your banner. It doesn't use any of the pictures from your newsletter. It just gives the link in this weird just over halfway thing. So instead of using that, I would recommend clicking on photo and video and uploading a relevant photo. So you might use your banner or some other picture that gives some indication of what's going on in your newsletter. And then you also want to include some words up here. So if I add a picture, I'll be able to find a picture of that. Okay, so if I add a picture, it's going to load slowly because we're doing this webinar. And then I just hit post or I hit share. All it's going to do is have this link over a picture of me. People still have no idea what this is. Okay, maybe if they're familiar with your banner, they would know that your banner, you posting your banner to MailChimp is indicative that your next newsletter is out. But it's better to go ahead and post some words, right? So this isn't open, right? Okay. So I might type some words up here saying something like, my next newsletter is out. Give maybe 2 sentences about what the newsletter is about, and then click here to read more. Click below to read more. So this is how you would set up your post if you want to put it on Facebook. So there's a few extra steps in there, but because of Facebook security measures, this is the only way that you can really do it well on your profile page now.
So since we're still on Facebook, I have another one here on that topic. How advantageous is it to have a Facebook account?
It depends on how you use Facebook. I've had, I think, maybe 2 people out of all the people I've ever coached who used Facebook well. And so if you use Facebook to communicate with your friends and potential partners and actual partners, and you do it on a regular basis, then Facebook is a great way to do PD. If you don't use Facebook very much, and you just get on every once in a while and click like on a few pictures, and that's your entire interaction with Facebook, it's not going to be a very useful tool for you. So kind of in the name of it, social media. If you're going to use social media, you got to be social. You got to get on, and it's not just about posting your own content, but it's about responding to comments that people make, about commenting on other people's content. So it's, are you building relationship on Facebook? So remember, PD is very, very relational. you're not being relational, it's probably not going to be a great tool. We also don't want to really ask for financial partnership on Facebook. So it's a relationship building tool, not a place to ask for partnership. So it's more getting to know you. Now people will use Facebook Messenger, right? Sort of like text messaging. So maybe you're setting up appointments that way. You know, you're going to interact with people the way you normally interact with people. But whether or not Facebook is going to be beneficial is going to be how much work you're willing to put into it. I don't personally use Facebook for my Wycliffe ministry because I'm not on it very much, and it's just not an effective tool for me. But I've seen other people do it really, really well. So it just depends on you. I know it's not a black and white answer. But
it also depends on your audience. Is your audience there, or are they not?
Yeah.
So we have a couple other questions here. We got good questions here today.
Good.
I do have one that I'm actually going to have to answer privately via email later because I have to research it.
That's fine.
But here's one. I know of 2 people who want to print out my newsletter. I've added a click print PDF version and a sentence telling them to click there. Still, they don't see the button. Would it be better to insert it before the last paragraph like you showed in one of the samples to get their attention?
What? Say that again. Let me read it. Hold on, let me read it.
Yeah, scroll up a bit.
Okay. Okay. I know of 2 people who want to print out my newsletter. I have a quick print PDF version. So send them to click there. So they do the button. For the last paragraph. Yeah, getting people to see buttons is frustrating. What you might even consider doing, Janet, especially if that's a really important feature for a lot of your partners, is maybe once or twice lifting it up to the top. Not the button itself, but like, let me pop over here for a second. Like if you just added a new content block right here and said, attention, for those of you who are interested in doing this, please see the button below. And just leave it there for a little while. And then once you've noticed that people are starting to use it, then maybe drop that off and not let it be a feature anymore. Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can do is keep trying different ways to communicate it to people. You don't want to destroy your newsletter in the process. But if there's like
churches, a couple that have used a button above their header, so it's not in the body of the email. Okay. But they've trained their audience to see that as well.
And that's the key phrase right there that you heard Michelle say, is training your audience. And so, you know, some people, it might be a phone call to let them know that that button is there. Some people just don't see buttons. You know, like I think I'm probably one of those people, is that if I'm reading something like this, I speed read. And so I would read this really, really fast. And I probably wouldn't pay attention to the fact that it says just over. I wouldn't have seen either of these links. I certainly wouldn't have seen anything in the footer. Okay, so if you have people that those features are really important to, you might want to communicate, maybe even in person, that they're there so that they know what's going on.
And I would also recommend not moving the button around a lot, so that if the ones who need it know where to find it.
Yeah, so you want a static location. That's what we said about your social icons and stuff too, right? You don't want to change colors every time. You don't want to change the way they look every time. You want kind of a static feel so that people know where to go to get what they want.
Okay, we've got a few more questions here. This one pertains to newsletters in general. Do we need to have our newsletters approved before we send them out, and how? Do you want me to handle this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, the general answer is yes. You do need to have them approved. If you're working for an entity, the entity usually needs to look it over as well. If you don't have somebody, like if you're not on a center, there is on the PD resources site on Unity, I'll link that in a minute. We do have a list of PD coaches that can check letters, as well as a general PD inbox where you can send your letter to be checked as well. There is, for people who qualify that work for Wycliffe USA only, there is a self-checklist that some people qualify to use. But in general, most people need to have their letters checked. Okay. Next question is, I came in a few minutes late and didn't see how Jen got to the first report on the reads, clicks, and bounces. It looked like she had to recreate and rename the report, or is it already there? It's already there. You want to show how to get there again?
Yeah, the reports are there. They're generated for each campaign that you've sent out. So again, you're not going to find a report for a test email that you didn't send to anybody because there's nothing to report. You haven't sent it yet. But next to each of your newsletters, you'll have this menu. Now you'll see if my mouse isn't near them that it looks like there's no menu there. I don't know why they thought that that was a good idea. But the second you move the mouse into that area, all of a sudden that edit button shows up or the view report shows up. Now it's going to be edited if I haven't sent it out. Okay, so this one hasn't been sent, so there's no report. The rest of these all have that view report next to them. Okay, so once you get to one that says view report, click on the button, and it puts you into the overview screen. Okay, so this is a screen that I spent quite a bit of time explaining. The one that I missed that I meant to go over was this forwarded right here. This is often now what people think it is. So if you email this out and people forward that email to one of their friends or to a church, this number is not going to go up at all. What this is referring to, and we're going to talk about this next week, is you can actually create a forwarding form, which is what this is right here. And I'll back up in a second. I missed some details, but this is the forwarding form. And when somebody uses this form, that's when this number starts going up. So what happens if you send the email and somebody just forwards the email like we normally would, what happens is when that second person opens it up, is it looks like the original person. So if I send my newsletter to Michelle, Michelle forwards it to her pastor, and the pastor opens it. On MailChimp, it looks like Michelle opened it again. Okay, it doesn't give any indication that that forwarded person opened it up. So the only way to see who's getting the forwards is if you use the forwarding form. A danger also, if somebody forwards an email, so I sent it to Michelle, Michelle sent it to her pastor gets this and it's like, I didn't sign up for this, I don't want to read this. And he hits the unsubscribe button, he unsubscribes to Michelle. Okay, so that's a danger of forwarding emails in that way. And so what we encourage people to do, and again, we're going to go step by step on how to do this next week, is we encourage people to set up this forward to a friend form, and then you're going to use a merge tag to create a button, and then that button will say forward this email to a friend or forward to a friend, whatever you want to say, and then people use the button. So again, that's a training thing, right? If you have advocates who are regularly forwarding your emails to other people, you're going to want to have a conversation with them and let them know that the button's there, this is why it's there, and that sort of thing. If you just kind of place it there, people aren't going to use it. You probably won't even understand why it's there. Why would I not just forward it like I normally do? Okay. Any other questions?
No new questions so far.
Okay.
But we are caught up, so.
Yeah. I'm going to give my little end of the webinar spiel here, but if you have more questions, go ahead and keep putting them in. Again, we're going to send a survey out to you later today or tomorrow. Just has a few questions on it. Again, what went well, what didn't. We're also looking to lengthen this particular session. Some of the things that were in this session, again, has been moved to other sessions, so this one has become quite short. And so if there are other features that you wish we would have gone over, let us know. We can add them to future ones. Could you please email the steps for linking a campaign to Facebook, add a Facebook page? Are you referring to the explanation I gave during the webinar? If you are, it's going to take me a while before, okay, it'll take me for a while before I'm able to have time to type that out. It'll probably be a week or two, just because I have a bunch of workshops and webinars coming up that are absorbing all my time. Okay, thank you. If you don't hear from me in a week or so, go ahead and email me and remind me that you want that, so that it's at the top of my list again. Okay.
And you will have the recording of this as well that you can watch step by step if you need to.
Yeah. MailChimp also has really great helps as well. If you Google MailChimp Facebook, they have quite a few pictorial instructions on how to walk through all of that. Yeah. So again, my day's a little bit different today. Normally I get the recording to you guys within an hour or two. It's probably going to be a little bit longer than that, or even tomorrow. But it will be there by tomorrow.
Oh, Jen, one other thing is I do not have the link for next week's webinar. Do you have that for people to register? It was not in the touch points this week.
Okay. Janet just made a comment as well. If it's something that you want to respond to, Michelle, go ahead. I'm going to pull it.
Yeah, sure. A comment from somebody who does actually qualify for the self-checking is that they still have somebody look over their letter as a second pair of eyes, and I highly endorse that. Even we as PD coaches will have other people look over our letters before we send them, even though we know all the things we're supposed to do and not do.
Sorry that you're watching me do this, but I don't know how to make you not watch me do it. Okay, it's in the chat now.
We have a YouTube question in the chat as well, if you want to catch that one.
Okay. Can you read it?
Yes. For some reason, when I watch your YouTube, the volume is too low. Any suggestions?
The volume is too low on the videos? I guess I would say make sure that you check a couple of different places in YouTube. Not only your computer volume, but you also want to make sure to check the YouTube volume. On the videos themselves, they have the little, the little icon like this that shows the volume. That can sometimes be reduced even though your computer's at full volume. So I would check that. And then if you're using any kind of like headphones like this, a lot of headphones have their own volume dialer on them. So there's a few different ways that your volume might be being controlled. So I would check all those out. Otherwise, I'm not sure why it would be so quiet. Hopefully that helps. We will be doing a workshop at the end of next month. We had some feedback last time that people wished that we had some more face-to-face interaction. And the workshops are where we provide that experience for you. So if that's what you're looking for, that more face-to-face interaction, being able to talk with us, maybe even be able to share your screen and let us help you walk through something, the workshop is the place to do that. So we try to have at least 1 or 2 of those every other month. It'll be coming up at touch points later in March. Just kind of keep an eye out for that. If you do need help, you're free to reach out to me. Michelle put my email in the chat for you. Again, I'm not going to be able to help until at least next week or the week after, as there's just a lot going on. We're getting ready for a kind of a big workshop at the end of next week, which is PD Refresh. And so if you're welcome to join. If we have a 2-day workshop at the end of the first week of March. I think it's a Wednesday and Thursday.
And that is published in Touch Points.
Yeah, that is published.
So the link is there.
Yep. But feel free to check that out. We'd love to have you. Other than that, that's all we have for you guys today. I'm going to sit around for about 10 minutes. If you have more questions, feel free to ask.